So Charybdis has had some interesting changes. She gets increased tide gain, her 2 charges quicker, she gains CC immunity in her 3, and her ult fires faster, which are all pretty big buffs in their own right. But the most interesting thing about this patch is how she now interacts with Kin's and Odysseus' bow. She used to have a flat 20% reduction on all of her yellow damage, but now she only has a reduction on her 3 little autos of 33%. So how will this change her damage? Her Kin's damage over one auto attack chain is now 1, 1, 0.67, 0.67, 0.67, which is equal to 4 Kin's procs. This means where a normal hunter gets 3 Kin's procs, she gets 4. So she has a 33% increase in Kin's damage, which is exactly the same as what she had before this change. Now her Odysseus' bow damage is where it gets more interesting. So if her oboe procs off of a little auto, all of the bouncers now do 0.67 times damage, but if it procs off of a big auto, it will now do the normal 1 times damage. So let's take a look at her damage over 24 auto attacks. So this is her auto attack chain visualized, so you can see big auto, 3 little autos, and then it repeats. So if Odysseus' bow procs off one of the big autos, it does 1 times damage, and if it procs off one of the little autos, it will do 2/3 the damage. So let's have a look at her Odysseus' bow damage, assuming she hits every single one of her auto attacks. So this big auto will charge Odysseus' bow, this second big auto will charge Odysseus' bow, the third auto, which is a little auto, will charge it, and then this fourth little one will proc it at 0.67 times damage. Then we repeat the cycle, so charge, 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 proc, charge, 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 proc, and so on. So now we can see exactly which autos in her auto attack chain are proccing Odysseus' bow, and the damage associated with that proc. So you can see she gets 6 little oboe procs and 4 big oboe procs. So over 24 auto attacks, we can sum this all together. So it'd be 4 times 1 times Odysseus' bow's damage, plus 6 times 0.67 times Odysseus' bow's damage. So this is a total Odysseus' bow's damage over 24 auto attacks. So we can now compare this to what a normal hunter would get over 24 auto attacks. So Charybdis gets the equivalent of 8 Odysseus' bow procs every 24 auto attacks. Whereas a normal hunter would get 24 divided by 4, which is 6 total oboe procs over 24 auto attacks. So now we just do 8 divided by 6, and that gives us 1.333, which is a 33% efficiency for Charybdis when compared to a standard hunter, which is exactly what she had before. But this is assuming that she's hitting every single one of her auto attacks. So for example, let's assume she misses this one, then that will shift the Odysseus' bow proc onto the big one, and she would have gained 33% Odysseus' bow damage for that proc. Which means now there is some world where missing auto attacks will increase your overall damage. But there's also some world where missing auto attacks will decrease your overall damage by quite a lot. So if we take this one for example, if you miss that and then you proc oboe on the little one, you've now lost 33% of your Odysseus' bow damage. So in the worst case scenario, if you miss all of your big oboe procs, you'll be losing 33% Odysseus' bow damage. In the best case scenario, you'll be gaining 33%. So I assume this should average out in game. But if there's some weird phenomenon where players hit certain autos at certain points in her chain, this could have a larger impact than intended. Overall, this is definitely a buff, as now when you use her 1, Spike Shot, it will not decrease your oboe and Kin's damage by 20% like it was before, so this is a significant damage buff when you're using your first ability. You can also up your Odysseus' bow damage by using Spike Shot at the perfect time, so that Odysseus' bow procs on Spike Shot and not one of your little autos, but this might be difficult to do in game. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't guess, do the math.